Welcome back, everyone. Ready to dive deep into another fascinating personality type.
Always ready. Let's do it.
Today, we're cracking open Linda Goodman's book to explore, you guessed it, Virgos.
Virgos. Often misunderstood.
Exactly. And even if you don't buy into all the astrology stuff,
There's still a lot we can learn from how she breaks down this personality.
totally. It's about human nature, really. So let's start with the basics. How do you spot a Virgo in a crowd?
Well, they're not exactly the loudest in the room. Less about seeking attention, more about observing everything.
Like those detectives in movies who notice the tiniest details.
Yes. Goodman even uses the example of a man in the corner absorbed in a dictionary. Or imagine a girl at a bus stop, gloves perfectly aligned. It's those subtle things.
Those are such vivid images.
Mm.
And it really highlights how Virgos think,
And
right?
it's not just about being tidy, it's deeper. A need for mental clarity. Like, imagine a messy desk. For some, it's whatever. For a Virgo, unsettling.
It's like a mental roadblock.
Yeah.
Chaos instead of clear thinking.
Exactly. Delays, confusion. Virgos really dislike that kind of stuff, according to Goodman, throws them off balance.
Oh, I know the type. I have a Virgo friend. Super organized. Everything has its place. Her calendar's color-coded to the minute.
That makes perfect sense. Structure equals groundedness for them.
Though too much of a good thing, right? Doesn't this orderliness lead to perfectionism?
It can, yeah. Goodman talks about this inner struggle Virgos face. Constantly striving can lead to overthinking, anxiety, even health problems.
It's that classic practice makes perfect, taken way too far. Ouch.
Exactly. Wanting everything perfect while life's, well, inherently messy, that gap can be tough.
Something we can all relate to, though. High standards are good, but gotta be kind to ourselves, too. Balance is key.
Couldn't agree more. Recognizing that imperfections are human is so important. But hey, let's switch gears a bit. What about Virgos in love?
Ooh, now we're talking. Hearts and flowers or a more down-to-earth approach.
Let's just say they bring that analytical mind to romance, too. Not easily swept off their feet by just charm.
No falling head over heels then.
It's possible, but they're still analyzing. Looking for deeper connections, shared values, the real deal.
Goodman says they can be madly in love, but still see relationship flaws. So maybe a dash of Virgo realism is good for the rest of us romantics, huh? Balance out the hearts and flowers.
Perhaps. But this clarity can also lead to misunderstandings. Virgos often get labeled as selfish, which Goodman says is completely wrong.
Really? But they're so practical, helpful.
Yeah.
How does that equal selfish?
It's about boundaries. They're generous, but know their limits. Saying no can seem self-serving if you don't get their need for balance.
Makes you wonder how we define selfish in the first place. Maybe it's more like self-awareness, honoring your own needs so you can help others.
Exactly. Taking care of yourself, is essential, not selfish. And speaking of, Virgos and health, big topic.
Aren't they the ultimate health nuts? What's the deal there?
Mindful, for sure. Goodman talks about their meticulousness with diet, hygiene, the whole 9 yards. They research remedies, alternative therapies.
So is that hyper-awareness helpful, or can it turn into an obsession? There's got to be a line somewhere.
It really depends on the individual, doesn't it? For some, it's anxiety-inducing, always worrying. But for others, it's empowering, taking control.
Good reminder that even good traits have a flip side. Balance again. But before we go further, I hear there's a mind-blowing theory about Virgos.
Oh, yeah. Goodman explores this idea of a yet-to-be-discovered planet called Vulcan being Virgo's true ruler.
Hold up, a hidden planet. We're getting cosmic now.
I know, right? It's a theory some astrologers debate. Vulcan's associated with power, resilience, could change how we see Virgos entirely.
Okay, my mind's blown. How so?
Well, think about it. Virgos often get associated with nervous energy because of their current ruler, Mercury.
But Vulcan's got this strong, almost unstoppable vibe.
Exactly. So maybe Virgos have that too, hidden underneath. Determination, inner drive.
We've only seen the tip of the iceberg.
Yeah.
This Vulcan connection is a whole new level.
It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? What else is there to discover about Virgos ourselves? It's funny because even without this whole Vulcan mystery, Goodman points out Virgos are already kind of paradoxical.
How so?
Meticulous, detail-oriented, we've established that. But they can also be super adaptable, resourceful when they need to be.
So not just rigid routines, sticking to the plan no matter what.
Not at all. They adjust to unexpected stuff pretty well. Like, imagine a mental toolkit, different approaches for different problems.
The mental Swiss Army knife of problem solving.
Oh, exactly. Break it down, analyze every angle.
Yeah.
They're the ones you call when things need fixing,
Makes sense. Those friends who can fix your computer, assemble furniture, Virgos, maybe?
Could be. And that practical side comes out in relationships, too. Goodman says they're loyal friends, supportive partners, but honesty matters most.
So no beating around the bush with a Virgo.
They'd rather have the truth, even if it's a little uncomfortable. No sugarcoating.
Like a built-in BS detector, they see right through fakeness.
100%. Authenticity is their thing. Now, this might surprise you, but that ties into their sense of humor.
Wait, hold on. Virgos have a sense of humor. I always thought they were so serious.
Common misconception. They're not the loud life of the party type, but dry, witty, sharp and insightful, you know?
So more like subtle irony, clever wordplay, not so much the slapstick stuff.
Exactly. Humor with some brains behind it. They're always looking for the deeper meaning, even in a joke.
Reminds me of those British sitcoms, dry wit and all. Bet a lot of those writers are Virgos.
Huh? You never know. But like any sign, there's challenges too. Goodman talks about their self-criticism, hard time accepting compliments.
Oh, I know that type too.
Yeah.
Super talented, but always downplaying their achievements. Can't quite accept their own brilliance.
It's that inner critic, right? Always pointing out flaws, downplaying strengths, tough on their happiness.
We all have that voice sometimes, don't we? Those doubts creeping in.
For sure. But for Virgos, with their analytical minds, it can be even more intense. Gotta learn to direct that analysis towards self-compassion.
Instead of dissecting flaws, use that focus to see their good stuff.
Yeah.
Celebrate those wins.
Exactly. And that's when they truly shine. Positive energy, inspiring others with their dedication, intelligence, making the world better.
It's like they channel all that meticulousness into something meaningful.
Yeah.
Work, relationships, creative stuff.
It's inspiring, right? Even the tiniest details matter when you have that intention.
And they remind us that strength is about embracing both our strengths and weaknesses, always striving to improve. Very Virgo.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
Yeah.
But, you know, before we move on, gotta circle back to Vulcan. This hypothetical planet thing adds a whole other layer.
More about Vulcan, please. How does it tie into all this?
Well, remember we said some astrologers think it's a better fit than Mercury as their ruler.
Yeah, Vulcan's all about power resilience, not so much the quick nervous energy.
Right. So maybe those core Virgo traits, the hard work, handling challenges, their loyalty, it's all this grounded strength, like from the core of their being.
Powerful image.
Yeah.
Like they're drawing strength from the earth itself.
Makes you wonder, have we barely scratched the surface of what they can do?
I'm hooked. What else can you tell us about Vulcan and Virgos?
Well, gotta be upfront. It's still a debate, even among astrologers. Some think it's a real planet out there waiting to be found.
Others see it as more symbolic, energies, archetypes, that kind of thing.
Exactly. But even as a hypothetical planet, it gives us a new way to see Virgos. Look beyond the surface, consider these deeper forces.
It's a cosmic mystery. Just when you think you've got Virgos figured out, there's more.
That's astrology for you. Always evolving, making us think about the universe and our place in it.
Speaking of interconnectedness, how does Vulcan, if at all it's real, interact with the other planets in a Virgo's chart?
Great question. And that's where it gets even more personalized. Every birth chart's unique, right? Snapshot of the planets when you were born.
So even two Virgos could be totally different people, depending on those other planets.
Absolutely. Like a cosmic fingerprint. And adding Vulcan into the mix, another layer of complexity.
So it's not just do you have Vulcan influence, but how it interacts with everything else.
That's the astrologer's job, right? Analyze all those factors to get a complete picture. Someone's personality, strengths, challenges, their whole path.
Sounds like an awesome puzzle to solve. I'm even more curious about my own chart now.
It can be a lifelong journey of self-discovery. That's the beauty of it.
We've covered so much today, from Virgo daily life to cosmic mysteries. Before we wrap up, what's your big takeaway about Virgos? What should listeners remember?
You know, it's been quite a journey, hasn't it? Exploring all these different facets of Virgos.
It really has. And I think what strikes me is how often they get stereotyped.
Oh, absolutely. The whole overly critical thing, obsessed with order.
But there's so much more underneath. We barely scratched the surface.
Right, and that's what makes them such amazing people to have in your life. Goodman really emphasizes that.
Totally. Like, think about it. They notice things others miss. They really think things through.
And their loyalty is rock solid. Whether it's friendship, work, romance.
They're the ones you call when you need a problem solved, no question. Or just someone who gets your love for a perfectly organized spreadsheet.
Exactly. But let's not forget their self-improvement drive, too. Always pushing to be better.
Like, that desire for excellence just permeates everything they do. Though, gotta watch out for that perfectionism trap.
So true. Finding that balance between striving and self-compassion is crucial for them.
As it is for all of us, honestly. But before we wrap up completely, what resonated most with you about Virgos? What surprised you?
Tough question. I think for me it was the humor thing. I would have never thought of them as funny.
Me neither. But that dry wit, the way they find humor in the everyday,
It's kind of refreshing, isn't it? Shows how smart they are, seeing things differently.
and of course, got to mention Vulcan, that blew my mind. Like this whole other level of potential we haven't even considered.
It really does make you wonder, doesn't it? Like, what else is there to discover about Virgos, about all of us, maybe?
So, for anyone listening who might have dismissed Virgos before,
As uptight, too critical, whatever the stereotype is.
I hope this deep dive has changed your mind. They're so much more complex than that.
Couldn't agree more. And even if you're not a Virgo, knowing this stuff helps.
For sure. Understanding people better. Having more empathy in relationships.
And hey, maybe even pick up some of those Virgo strengths for yourself.
Right. Pay attention to detail a bit more. Strive for excellence. Heck, color code your calendar. See if you like it.
You never know, you might surprise yourself. And the next person you meet could be a Virgo in disguise, ready to blow you away with their hidden awesomeness.
Well said. That about wraps up our Virgo deep dive, everyone. Thanks for joining us. And until next time, happy exploring.